Hello and welcome to the next episode of CommuNInqué. Today has been kind of a slow news day, so I'll just start off with the very short bit of news that we have, and then move on to some of the older news that we have about Super Smash Bros. Because I'm sure you're interested. So moving right into that news, I reported in the last CommuNInqué episode that a Russian Wii U website were teasing that a new Nintendo Direct would be announced today. And however, it turns out this Nintendo Direct turned out to be Russia getting localized Pokemon trading cards. And so it's not that big of news, but it's enough to mention, especially as it's a follow-up from the previous episode. And now I'm going to be moving on into a topic that many people have been interested in, and that is the Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS leaks. So when the leak originally came out a couple of weeks back, people were extremely skeptical of whether or not it was true. Many were saying that the characters were in the wrong order on the roster, that the renders had been faked, and so on and so forth. But as time went on, more and more evidence pointed to the fact that the leak is in fact real, such as the leaked video gameplay of Shulk and Bowser Jr. coming out, as well as Shulk's reveal with his art matching the one in the leak. And so we can pretty much say that the leak is true. I will be talking about what characters the leak says were in the game, as well as some of the stages, as well as any other information that we've been given. So, moving right into the characters, I'll be going through the roster leaks character list one by one, and any new or returning characters not yet confirmed, I will add a bit of commentary on and add my own input on how I think they'll function. So, going right in, the first is Mario, Luigi, Peach, Bowser, Yoshi, Rosalina, Bowser Jr. Now, Bowser Jr. is an entirely new character to the Smash Bros. Franchise, but I did go over him in my first CommuNInqué episode along with the leaked gameplay of Shulk. And so, pretty much, Bowser Jr. is most likely to be in the game. He's going to be in his Koopa Clown car, and if you want more information about him, I talked for about 3 to 4 minutes on him in the first CommuNInqué episode, and so you can go there if you want to learn more about how he functions and what his gameplay was like. The next character is Wario. He's a non-confirmed returning character, so I'm assuming he's going to function a lot like he did in Brawl. They might make a few minor changes, but we'll have to see. Mr. Game & Watch, similar position to Wario, he's a returning character not yet confirmed, although he was teased in the Pac-Man reveal trailer. And so we'll see if he functions the same as he did in Brawl. They did make a change in him from Melee to Brawl, so they might make some more changes from Brawl to Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS. The next characters are Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Link, Zelda, Sheik, Ganondorf. Ganondorf is another returning character that hasn't been confirmed yet, although in some of the gameplay footage that Nintendo released in one of the trailers, he did appear in an off-screen bubble for the fight, although he did not appear on the screen itself. And so he kind of got accidentally confirmed by Nintendo, and he also appeared in Shulk's gameplay video, so we'll see whether or not he gets revealed before release, but we're pretty sure he's in. He still looks to be functioning a lot like the Captain Falcon clone that he's been for the last 2 games, but hopefully with custom moves and such he'll be able to differentiate himself a bit. The next character on the roster leak is Toon Link, then Samus, Zero Suit Samus, Pit, Palutena, Marth, Ike, Robin, Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, Little Mac, Fox, Falco, Pikachu, Charizard, Lucario, Jigglypuff. Now Jigglypuff is another returning character, not yet confirmed. It's probably likely she's going to return, obviously, since she was in every Smash Bros. Game since the original. And so we'll see how they change her, how she functions in this newer game. The next character is Greninja, and then Duck Hunt. Duck Hunt is an entirely new character, and one that many people obviously weren't expecting. I mean, Duck Hunt came out with the Nintendo Entertainment System way back, and so it's been a long time since they've had any game related to them, but then again, they did pull Pit and Ice Climbers for Brawl and Melee respectively, so this isn't too unlikely, but it'll be interesting to see how they function. There was a rumor that the dog kind of attacks with the ducks themselves, and so we'll see at release or past release whether or not this is how he actually functions. And so moving on, the next character is Rob. Rob is another returning character, not yet confirmed. Some people were expecting him to be cut, but it turns out, according to this leak, that he has not been. And so we'll see how he functions, whether he changes or not, etc, etc. And so moving on, next is Ness. Once again, not confirmed, but he's been in every Smash Brothers game, so he's most likely to come back. He might change, who knows. Next is Captain Falcon, then Villager, Olimar, Wii Fit Trainer, and then Dr. Mario. Now, Dr. Mario is a very interesting case because he was in Melee, but he got cut for Brawl. And so his return in this game would mean he kind of just skipped over Brawl and just came back into this game. And so it'll be interesting to see if this is actually true, whether Dr. Mario is actually coming back. I did main Dr. Mario in Melee, so hopefully he keeps the same sort of moveset that he had then. But I'd be excited to see Dr. Mario again, and I'm hoping that he returns. And it would make sense with what Sakurai said about clone characters when he was talking about Lucina compared to Marth and why she wasn't just an alternate costume. He said that as long as the character has some differentiation, something that makes them different, something that requires them to be different, then they move from being an alternate skin to being an actual character, a character on their own. And so is the case with the next character in the roster leak, and that is Dark Pit. Dark Pit is entirely new. We haven't seen anything of him before except a little bit in Palutena's reveal trailer where it was kind of hinted that he was going to be in the game in some capacity, whether as an assist trophy or a stage boss or whatnot, but it looks like he's actually going to be a character. And so he looks similar to Dr. Mario and Lucina are to Mario and Marth, that he'll be a clone character of Pit, having some different moveset, some different quirk to him that'll make him different enough to be his own character. And so moving on, the next character is Lucina. And then Shulk. Shulk wasn't revealed at the time of this leak, so this is a pretty convincing evidence that the leak is true. And then Pac-Man, Mega Man, and Sonic. And that completes the roster leak's characters, but there has been a rumor concerning some other characters that have been added into the game. Now, many people were using the fact that the All-Star mode in some of the pictures that were released along with these roster leak pictures had shown that it was still locked, and so it was evidence that there were still some characters that had not yet been shown. And now we know that this is probably true, especially with the recent news about All-Star Mode, where the lock's still on the All-Star Mode, even though it doesn't mean that the mode is still locked. It just means that you haven't unlocked all the characters for it yet. And so the 3 characters that have been rumored to also appear in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS are Mewtwo, who would be returning from Melee, similar to Dr. Mario, and it'd be interesting to see what they managed to do with him. He wasn't that great in Melee, and then Lucario kind of replaced him as a clone of sorts, but we'll see what they managed to do with Mewtwo. And then Dixie Kong. I have a feeling Dixie Kong would be similar to Diddy Kong, except using her hair to attack, but we'll see how she turns out if she's actually in the game. And then Chorus Kids from Rhythm Heaven. And these have been kind of suspected to be in the game since the Gamatsu leak, but we still haven't seen any proof that they're in. We're not sure, and so we'll see if they make it in. It'll be interesting to see how they function, especially since it's likely to be 3 of them on the screen. And then the cut characters, according to the roster leak, would be Snake, Ice Climbers, Lucas, and Wolf. Now, many people were expecting Lucas and Wolf to be cut, and probably Snake, just since he would be kind of a one-shot wonder sort of character. But Ice Climbers was really surprising. I didn't expect Ice Climbers to get cut, but Sakurai did mention in development the struggle he was having with getting 2 characters to work in the 3DS hardware. And so that could explain why Ice Climbers was cut, is just simply because the 3DS couldn't handle it. And the code, many people have argued that the Rosalina's in the game, and that should mean that Ice Climbers is in the game, but the coding for Ice Climbers would be much more difficult than for Rosalina. And so I'm inclined to believe that these characters are going to be cut, unfortunately. Now, moving on from the characters, I'm going to go into the stages very briefly. Since most of the stages were ones we had already seen, I'm just going to cover a few of the ones that we hadn't, and most of the ones that we hadn't were retro stages, such as Mushroomy Kingdom, Corneria, Jungle Japes, Green Hill Zone, Pick to Chat, and others, and it's surprising to see that they included so many retro stages in the 3DS version. But I guess it kind of makes sense. A lot of people have been saying that the Wii U version is supposed to have a much more diverse variety of stages, and so it would seem as if they were kind of cutting corners development-wise, in the sense that they didn't have to design all new stages for both versions. And so, moving on to the last bit that's in the leak that is kind of a interesting feature is the menu for the characters. There's the option to select the characters, and then there's the option to select the Mii Fighters. The Mii Fighters appear to be in their own section, especially as you can have customization turned on or off for it. And so it was just interesting to see that they're kind of relegated to their own section of play. And now, kind of moving on from the leaks to something that's actually been revealed through gameplay at PAX, is that auto-canceling and a form of L-canceling are back in Super Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS. Now, this is very important competitively. Many people were believing that it wasn't going to return, and so it was going to be similar to Brawl, not be a very good fighting game. But this really shows us that it's going to have some competitive aspects. For those of you who don't know, auto-canceling and L-canceling were things that were tactics you could use to prevent landing lag when you were landing. You prevent the few frames of just kind of sitting there while it animates you landing. And so instead of L canceling, it appears that you can either dash or attack to cancel the landing lag at this point. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how this functions in competitive play, because now there's an advantage to using it, that you can attack and dash and have different strategies and gameplay with it. And so I'm curious to see how this will turn out. This looks really good, especially with the hit stun and other things. This is actually turning out to be a very competitive game, especially when compared to Brawl. So I think that's about it for this episode of CommuNInqué. Please like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed the video, and I will be back tonight with information on the next post of the day. Stay classy, YouTube.